Welcome to the science fiction universe. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with new stories. Now, let's begin the story. Leora woke up to the soft glow of bioluminescent plants surrounding her, their ethereal light casting shadows that danced with the gentle rustling of the forest. Disoriented and struggling to remember how she had ended up in this unfamiliar place, she pushed herself up from the damp ground. The air was filled with the sounds of unseen creatures, and the musty smell of the ancient forest filled her senses. She was alone, and the weight of her isolation pressed down on her as she took in her surroundings. A sudden movement caught her eye, and she turned to see strange, glowing creatures approaching her. Their eyes glinted with curiosity and hunger. Panic surged through her, and she stumbled to her feet, narrowly escaping their grasp as she darted through the dense foliage. Her heart pounded in her chest as she ran, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. Desperation drove her forward, and soon she stumbled upon a hidden Zephyrian village nestled within the forest. The village was a stark contrast to the wild forest, with its neatly arranged huts and bioluminescent decorations. Leora's stomach growled loudly, and she realized how hungry she was. She crept closer, hoping to find something to eat without being noticed. As she edged nearer, she overheard a group of villagers discussing an ancient prophecy about a child with a mysterious artifact. Intrigued, she listened intently, but the conversation was cut short when one of the villagers spotted her. Driven by hunger, Leora made a rash decision and grabbed a handful of fruits from a nearby stall. The alarmed shouts of the villagers echoed through the air as they chased her. Leora's legs burned with exhaustion as she fled into the deeper parts of the forest. The villagers' voices faded behind her, but she didn't stop running until she could no longer hear them. She collapsed against a tree, her breath coming in heaving gasps. As she looked around, she noticed an ancient Zephyrian temple partially overgrown with glowing vines. Curiosity overcame her fatigue, and she made her way inside the temple. The air inside was cool and still, filled with the faint hum of something ancient and powerful. As she explored, she found a mysterious artifact, its surface rough and cool to the touch. When she picked it up, it pulsed with energy, glowing brighter in her hands. A faint hum filled the air, resonating with her very being. Determined to uncover the secrets of the artifact, Leora decided to keep it hidden with her. It felt like a piece of the puzzle she had been missing, a clue to her mysterious origins. She knew she couldn't stay in the temple forever, but for now, it provided a temporary refuge from the dangers that lurked in the forest. Jackson sat in the sterile, metallic confines of his spacecraft, the hum of the engines a constant reminder of his isolation. He reviewed the logs of his failed mission, each entry filled with regrets and haunting memories. His family's tragic end during a past space expedition played out in his mind like a relentless nightmare. The weight of their loss pressed heavily on his heart, driving him to seek redemption. A sudden beep broke the monotony, alerting him to a distress signal from the planet Zaphora. Intrigued and hopeful that this might be the chance he needed to make things right, Jackson decided to investigate. He couldn't afford to fail again. The memory of his family's fate drove him forward, fueling his determination. As his spacecraft descended towards Zaphora, Jackson marveled at the vibrant, almost surreal colors of the landscape. The chill of the alien air bit at his skin as he stepped out, taking in the strange beauty of the planet. His awe was short-lived, however, as he was soon confronted by a group of Zephyrian scouts, their expressions wary and distrustful. "Leave now, human, or face the consequences," one of them warned, their stance clearly indicating they were ready to defend their territory. Jackson raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "I just want to help," he said earnestly. "I received a distress signal and came to investigate. Maybe we can help each other." After a tense negotiation, the scouts reluctantly agreed to let him stay temporarily. Jackson set up a temporary base, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew he had to find the source of the distress signal, hoping it would lead to answers and perhaps redemption. Exploring the area, Jackson encountered evidence of advanced but ancient technology, further piquing his curiosity. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the signal's origin. He felt a mix of excitement and apprehension, knowing that whatever he found could either bring him closer to redemption or plunge him deeper into despair. As he delved deeper into the mysteries of Zaphora, Jackson couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The Zephyrians were wary of him, and he understood their distrust. Humans had a history of bringing trouble wherever they went. But Jackson was determined to prove that he was different. He wouldn't fail this time. He couldn't. Jackson moved cautiously through the dense underbrush, taking in the strange flora and fauna of Zaphora. His scanner beeped intermittently, documenting the various bioluminescent plants and small, skittering creatures that seemed to glow with an inner light. The beauty of this alien world was breathtaking, but he remained focused on his mission. The distress signal that had brought him here was a mystery he intended to solve. Nearby, Leora crept back into the village she had been chased out of earlier. She moved stealthily, her senses heightened by the fear of being discovered. Her goal was to gather more information and perhaps some supplies. She had to understand the connection between the artifact and the prophecy she had overheard. Her stomach growled, reminding her of the urgency of her mission. Their paths crossed unexpectedly at the edge of the village near a communal area. Leora froze, her heart pounding as she saw the human man standing there. Jackson, equally surprised, took a step back, his hand instinctively reaching for the weapon at his side. The tense silence stretched between them. "Stay away from me." "I don't trust you," Leora shouted, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and determination. Jackson held up his hands in a gesture of peace. "I just want to help. We might be able to help each other," he said calmly, trying to diffuse the situation. Leora's eyes narrowed. She was ready to bolt, but something in Jackson's voice made her hesitate. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "Who are you?" she demanded. "My name is Jackson," he replied. "I came here following a distress signal. I'm just trying to find out what happened and maybe make things right." Leora studied him for a moment longer before slowly lowering her guard. "I'm Leora," she said finally, "and I think we might have more in common than we realize." They sat down near the edge of the village, exchanging their stories. Jackson spoke of his lost family and the guilt that drove him to seek redemption. Leora told him about her search for her origins and the mysterious artifact she had found. She showed him the artifact, hoping he could help her understand its significance. Jackson examined the artifact carefully, recognizing its potential power and importance. This artifact. It feels like the key to everything, he murmured, more to himself than to Leora. Leora watched him closely, her initial suspicion giving way to a cautious trust. "Can you help me figure out what it means?" she asked. Jackson nodded. "I'll do my best, but we'll need to be careful. The villagers are wary of outsiders, and there are many dangers in this world." They agreed to form a tentative alliance, each realizing that they had much to gain from working together. As they talked, Leora introduced Jackson to some aspects of Zephyrian culture, explaining their beliefs and customs. Jackson listened intently, appreciating the depth and complexity of the world he had stumbled into. The bioluminescent glow of the village at dusk created an almost magical atmosphere. Leora offered Jackson some unfamiliar fruits, their taste exotic and slightly tangy. As they ate, they planned their next steps, aware that their journey was just beginning. The following morning, Leora and Jackson set out for the ancient temple where she had found the artifact. The path was treacherous, with roots and vines threatening to trip them at every step. The air was thick with the musty scent of the forest, and the hum of the artifact in Leora's bag provided an eerie soundtrack to their journey. They reached the temple by midday. The structure was even more imposing in the daylight, its intricate carvings and ancient symbols casting long shadows. The air inside was cool and still, filled with an almost palpable sense of history. As they ventured deeper into the temple, the artifact began to glow more intensely, illuminating hidden passages and revealing secrets etched into the stone walls. Jackson marveled at the craftsmanship, his curiosity piqued by the intricate designs. "This place is ancient and dangerous. We need to be careful," Jackson warned, his voice echoing softly in the vast chamber. Leora nodded, feeling a strange connection to the artifact that seemed to guide her steps. They encountered several traps and puzzles designed to protect the temple's secrets. The artifact's energy resonated with Leora, helping her navigate the challenges. With each step, her confidence grew, and Jackson couldn't help but admire her determination. In a hidden chamber, they discovered a cache of ancient Zephyrian relics. The artifact's glow intensified, projecting visions and creating energy fields that revealed more about the prophecy and Leora's role in it. Jackson deciphered some of the writings, uncovering parts of the prophecy that spoke of a child who would unite the Zephyrians and bring peace. "I feel a connection to this artifact. It's like it's guiding us," Leora said, her voice filled with wonder. As they delved deeper into the prophecy, the temple began to tremble. The walls shook, and dust rained down from the ceiling. "We need to get out of here, now." "The temple is collapsing," Jackson shouted, grabbing Leora's hand and pulling her towards the exit. They raced through the corridors, the sound of crumbling stone echoing around them. The artifact's glow lit their way, leading them to safety just as the temple began to cave in. They burst out into the daylight, gasping for breath as the ancient structure collapsed behind them. Panting, they looked at each other, the gravity of their discovery sinking in. "We need to return to the village and share what we've learned," Jackson said, his eyes reflecting a mixture of excitement and determination. Leora nodded, clutching the artifact tightly. "Yes, we do, but we need to be prepared. This is just the beginning." Together, they set off back to the village, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced. The journey ahead was uncertain, but they were ready to face it together, driven by a shared purpose and the hope of uncovering the full truth of the prophecy. Leora and Jackson approached the village cautiously, their minds still reeling from the revelations at the ancient temple. The villagers, seeing Leora return with a human and the glowing artifact, reacted with a mix of fear and anger. Murmurs spread quickly, and a crowd began to form around them. "Why have you brought a human here?" one villager demanded, his eyes filled with suspicion. Leora stepped forward, her voice steady despite the tension. "This artifact is linked to our prophecy. It chose me, and Jackson is here to help us understand it." The village elders, a group of wise and aged Zephyrians, convened a tense meeting to discuss their fate. Leora and Jackson were brought before them, the atmosphere heavy with distrust. "This human cannot be trusted," one elder said, his tone stern. "His kind has brought us nothing but trouble." Jackson raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "I understand your fears, but I came here because of a distress signal. I want to help. Leora and I discovered crucial information about your prophecy and the artifact." Leora felt the weight of their stares but stood firm. "We need to understand this artifact. It has powers we can use to protect our village and fulfill the prophecy." Many villagers voiced their distrust and hostility towards Jackson, fearing human interference. One particularly hostile villager stepped forward, eyes blazing with anger. "How do we know you won't betray us? Why should we trust you?" Leora instinctively used the artifact to create a protective barrier around Jackson, demonstrating its power. The artifact's glow intensified, and a faint hum filled the air, causing the villagers to step back in awe and fear. "This artifact. It chose me for a reason. We need to understand it," Leora said, her voice resonating with authority. The display of power changed some opinions among the villagers. The elders, seeing the artifact's potential, agreed to a temporary truce to discuss their next steps. They decided to let Leora and Jackson stay temporarily, acknowledging the need for further discussion and understanding. As the meeting adjourned, Jackson approached Leora, gratitude evident in his eyes. "Thank you for standing up for me," he said quietly. Leora nodded. "We need to prove ourselves. Together we can earn their trust and uncover the artifact's secrets." The villagers, though still wary, began to show signs of acceptance. Leora's emerging leadership and Jackson's diplomatic efforts started to bridge the gap between humans and Zephyrians. They shared a meal with some villagers, experiencing the unique, slightly sweet and spicy taste of Zephyrian food. The vibrant colors of the village decorations and buildings added to the sense of tentative hope. As night fell, Leora and Jackson reflected on their day. The artifact rested between them, its faint glow a reminder of the journey ahead. They knew the path would be difficult, but for the first time they felt a glimmer of hope. Seeking more information, Leora and Jackson ventured into a secluded area of the forest the next morning. The earthy, damp scent of the forest surrounded them, and the rustling leaves and distant calls of creatures created an eerie ambience. They hoped to find someone who could help them understand the prophecy and the artifact's history. Their search led them to a small, hidden dwelling where a Zephyrian outcast lived in isolation. The outcast, a wise and knowledgeable Zephyrian named Threx, greeted them with curiosity. "I've been waiting for someone like you. The prophecy speaks of your arrival," Threx said, his eyes gleaming with ancient knowledge. Threx shared critical information about the prophecy and the artifact's history. He revealed hidden factions and power struggles within the village, explaining the resistance Leora and Jackson had encountered. "There are those who fear change and those who embrace it," Threx said. "You must navigate these divisions carefully." As they discussed their plans, a group of hostile Zephyrians ambushed them. Leora instinctively used the artifact to create a protective barrier, fending off the attackers. The artifact's power was undeniable, and it scared the attackers away. "We can't trust everyone we meet, but we can't do this alone either," Jackson said, his protective instincts on high alert. Threx led them to a hidden safe haven deeper in the forest. The tranquil haven provided a place to regroup and plan. In the safety of the haven, Threx explained more about the sacred sites connected to the prophecy. He revealed an ancient map that could lead them to a crucial sacred site. "This map. It could lead us to the answers we've been seeking," Leora said, her excitement palpable. Jackson examined the map, its rough, worn texture telling of its age and importance. "We need to follow this map, but we must be prepared for the dangers ahead." As they rested, Leora felt a growing sense of purpose. She knew her role in the prophecy was significant, and with Jackson and Threx by her side, she felt ready to face the challenges ahead. The bond between them strengthened, united by a common goal and the hope of uncovering the full truth of the prophecy. The journey to the sacred site began at dawn. Leora, Jackson, and Threx moved through the dense forest, guided by the ancient map. The air was cool, and the morning light filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. As they walked, the outcast Threx shared stories and legends about the sacred site, deepening their understanding of its significance. The terrain was treacherous, with roots and vines threatening to trip them at every step. Sudden storms swept through the forest, drenching them and making the path slippery. Despite the challenges, they pressed on, driven by their shared goal. Leora's determination shone through as she navigated the obstacles, her leadership skills growing with each step. "We can't turn back now. We've come too far," Leora said, her voice filled with resolve. As they approached an ancient Zephyrian road, the map's markings became clearer. The road, though worn by time, made their travel easier but was filled with its own dangers. Predators lurked in the shadows, their eyes glinting with hunger. One night, they were ambushed by a pack of these predators, forcing them to fight for their lives. Jackson, ever the strategist, devised a plan to fend off the predators. Using his knowledge of the terrain and the creature's behavior, he led the group to a defensible position. Leora used the artifact to create a barrier, while Threx used his knowledge of the forest to distract and confuse the attackers. The combined efforts of the group proved successful, and the predators retreated. After the harrowing encounter, they found an old Zephyrian shelter, providing temporary safety. The worn stone walls and the warmth of a small fire offered a much-needed respite. They shared a meal of foraged berries and simple, nourishing food, reflecting on the day's events. "We'll rest here for the night, but we must stay vigilant," Jackson advised, his protective instincts ever present. As they rested, Leora felt a growing sense of purpose. The journey had tested their survival skills and teamwork, but it had also strengthened their bond. She knew that the sacred site held the answers they sought, and she was determined to reach it. The next morning, the group set out for the final leg of their journey. The air was filled with anticipation as they approached the sacred site, a place of ancient beauty and grandeur. The site was nestled in the heart of the forest, surrounded by towering trees and glowing flora. When they arrived, they were awestruck by the sight before them. Ancient Zephyrian structures, intricately carved and filled with symbols, stood in silent testament to a bygone era. The artifact in Leora's hands began to glow brighter, reacting to the site's powerful energy. Hidden passages and chambers revealed themselves as they explored further. This place. It's ancient and powerful. We must be careful, Jackson cautioned, his eyes scanning the surroundings. As they delved deeper into the site, the artifact revealed more details about the prophecy. Leora's connection to the artifact grew stronger, and she felt a sense of destiny unfolding before her. However, their discoveries were interrupted by the arrival of hostile villagers, determined to stop them from fulfilling the prophecy. A tense standoff ensued, with both sides wary and ready to fight. Leora stepped forward, her voice steady. "We need to work together. The prophecy can only be fulfilled with unity." The villagers were skeptical, their fear and anger palpable. But as Leora used the artifact to project visions and create energy barriers, the true power of the artifact became undeniable. The villagers, awed by the display, began to reconsider their stance. "I finally understand who I am and what I must do," Leora said, her voice filled with conviction. The revelation about Leora's origins and her connection to the prophecy shocked everyone. The villagers, seeing the truth in the artifact's power and Leora's role, agreed to help them. The newfound support from the villagers marked a turning point in their journey. Together they explored the sacred site, uncovering more about the prophecy and its significance. The villagers' change of heart and willingness to support the prophecy's fulfillment strengthened Leora's resolve. She knew that the challenges ahead would be great, but with unity and determination, they could face them together. As the sun rose over the sacred site's surroundings, Leora and Jackson sat by a small fire, discussing their next steps. The fresh, crisp scent of morning filled the air, and the sounds of the forest slowly came to life. They knew the journey back to the village would be fraught with challenges, and they needed to prepare thoroughly. "We must be ready for anything." "The future is uncertain," Jackson said, his eyes scanning the map Threx had given them. Leora nodded, feeling the weight of her responsibility. "I can feel the artifact's power growing. I need to control it." The outcast Threx joined them, bringing supplies and sharing crucial information about potential threats. "There are those who will not stop until they see us fail. We need to anticipate their moves," he warned. Leora spent hours practicing with the artifact, honing her skills and learning to harness its powers. The artifact hummed with energy, and she could feel it responding to her touch, guiding her actions. The smooth, almost warm texture of the artifact in her hands reassured her. Meanwhile, Jackson fortified their campsite, building defenses and ensuring their safety. He used his strategic thinking to create a secure environment, blending their shelter into the natural surroundings. The villagers brought additional supplies, their cautious optimism showing a tentative trust in Leora's leadership. As they prepared, Leora received a vision about the future. The vision showed potential dangers and allies, giving her insight into what lay ahead. "Together we can face whatever comes our way," she said, sharing her vision with Jackson and Threx. The group rested, gathering strength and mentally preparing for the challenges ahead. The taste of simple, nourishing food kept them strong, and the warmth of the fire provided comfort. As night fell, they felt a renewed sense of determination. The next morning, they set out back to the village, ready to face the foretold events. The journey was long, but their spirits were high, fueled by their preparation and the unity they had forged. The group moved cautiously through the forest, the path back to the village filled with memories of their previous journey. The scent of fresh forest air mingled with the distant calls of creatures, creating a sense of both familiarity and tension. They knew they had to remain vigilant. As they traveled, they encountered remnants of the hostile group who had previously attacked them. The threat was still present, and Leora's heart raced as they approached. Using the artifact, she created a barrier, diffusing the situation and showcasing her growing control. "We must stand together. Unity is our strength," Leora said, her voice firm and commanding. The group reached the village and was welcomed with a mix of relief and caution. The villagers, though wary, showed signs of trust in Leora's leadership. She shared her vision with the elders, explaining the future challenges and the need for preparation. The vision showed me what's to come. We need to be prepared, Leora explained, her eyes meeting those of the elders. The villagers began to prepare for the foretold events, following Leora's guidance. Jackson helped organize defenses, using his experience and strategic skills to fortify the village. The outcast Threx integrated back into the village, sharing valuable knowledge and helping to build a sense of unity. A celebration of unity was held, marking a temporary peace and newfound cooperation. The village came together, their combined efforts creating a sense of hope and resilience. The warmth and faint glow of the artifact symbolized their unity, a beacon of light in uncertain times. Leora and Jackson reflected on their journey, acknowledging their growth and the challenges ahead. "This is just the beginning of our journey. We have much to do," Leora said, her voice filled with determination. As the night deepened, they knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but with the support of the village and their newfound allies, they were ready to face whatever came their way. The taste of celebratory foods, a mix of traditional flavors and new dishes, added to the sense of community and shared purpose. The village buzzed with activity as preparations for the foretold arrival intensified. Leora trained with the artifact, honing her skills under the guidance of Threx and the village elders. The artifact hummed with energy, resonating with her emotions as she practiced. Each day she felt her connection to it grow stronger, and her control over its powers increased. Jackson, alongside the villagers, set up strategic defenses around the village. He organized watch rotations and fortified key points, ensuring they were prepared for any scenario. The villagers, though wary, followed his instructions, recognizing his expertise and commitment to their safety. Strange phenomena began to occur around the village, signaling the imminent arrival of the foretold beings. The air grew thick with anticipation, and the tension was palpable. Leora received another vision, offering clarity and guidance on how to navigate the upcoming events. "The visions are becoming clearer. We have a path to follow," Leora said, sharing her insights with Jackson and Threx. The day finally arrived, and the village held its collective breath. The foretold beings emerged from the forest, their forms strange and awe-inspiring. A tense standoff ensued, with both sides wary and ready for conflict. The eerie silence was broken only by the hum of the artifact in Leora's hands. "We need to avoid conflict at all costs. Unity is our only hope," Leora said, stepping forward to negotiate. Using her knowledge and the artifact's power, Leora spoke to the beings, appealing to their sense of shared destiny. The artifact projected visions and created energy fields, illustrating the prophecy and the need for cooperation. The beings, initially skeptical, began to soften as they saw the truth in Leora's words. "This piece is fragile. We must tread carefully and build trust," Jackson added, standing by Leora's side. After what felt like an eternity, a fragile peace was established. The foretold beings agreed to cooperate, setting the stage for future interactions and potential alliances. The village, though still on edge, breathed a sigh of relief. They had avoided immediate conflict, but the journey ahead was uncertain. As night fell, the village gathered to reflect on the day's events. The tension had not completely dissipated, but there was a sense of cautious optimism. Leora and Jackson knew that maintaining this peace would require constant effort and vigilance, but for now they had taken the first crucial step. The village slowly adjusted to the presence of the new beings, navigating daily interactions with a mix of curiosity and caution. Tensions rose among some villagers, with distrust simmering beneath the surface. Leora found herself mediating disputes, using her leadership and the artifact's guidance to maintain harmony. "Peace is harder than we thought. We must work together," Leora reminded the villagers during a council meeting. Jackson quietly strengthened the village's defenses, preparing for any potential threats. He knew that vigilance was crucial, even in times of peace. The outcast Threx revealed hidden knowledge about the prophecy and the new beings, sharing insights that helped the village understand their new allies better. Strange phenomena continued, signaling ongoing challenges and changes. Leora and Jackson investigated these occurrences, discovering a hidden threat that posed immediate danger to the village. the threat revealed itself one night, causing chaos and fear among the villagers. "There's something we missed. We need to investigate further," Jackson said, his protective instincts on high alert. Leora rallied the village, uniting them against the common enemy. The new beings joined their efforts, showing their commitment to the fragile peace they had established. Together they faced the threat, using their combined strengths to protect their home. "We must be ready for anything." "The future is uncertain," Leora declared, her voice strong and resolute. The peace was threatened, but the village stood firm. The combined efforts of the villagers and their new allies neutralized the threat, restoring a sense of safety and unity. The ordeal had tested their resolve, but it also strengthened their bonds. As the village settled back into a semblance of normalcy, Leora and Jackson reflected on their journey. They acknowledged the challenges of maintaining peace and the need for constant vigilance. The villagers, though wary, had shown resilience and adaptability, proving that unity and cooperation were possible even in the face of uncertainty. The village buzzed with a sense of urgency as Leora and Jackson prepared for the final confrontation. The air was filled with tension and determination, a stark contrast to the serene beauty of the bioluminescent forest surrounding them. Villagers moved with purpose, gathering supplies and fortifying defenses under Jackson's strategic guidance. "We stand together, no matter what. Unity is our strength," Leora said, addressing the gathered villagers. Her voice carried a resolute confidence that inspired those around her. Jackson stood beside her, his gaze steely and focused. "This is our home, and we will protect it with everything we have," he added. His words met with nods of agreement and murmurs of solidarity. The hidden threat that had loomed over the village finally revealed itself, a powerful force driven by malice and destruction. As they moved to confront it, the forest around them seemed to darken, the bioluminescence dimming in response to the encroaching danger. The clash of battle sounds soon filled the air, a cacophony of shouts, clashes, and the ominous hum of the artifact in Leora's hands. Leora stood at the forefront, the artifact glowing brightly as she channeled its energy. The bright light of the artifact cut through the darkness, illuminating the battlefield and giving hope to the villagers. She felt the artifact's power surge through her, and with a focused mind, she directed its energy to protect and attack. Jackson, ever the protector, used his combat skills to defend the villagers. His strategic mind was in full gear, coordinating their efforts and ensuring their defenses held strong. His presence was a beacon of strength, and his actions inspired those fighting alongside him. The outcast, Threx, played a crucial role in turning the tide of the battle. Using their extensive knowledge, Threx identified weaknesses in the enemy's forces and shared this information with Leora and Jackson. Threx's redemption was clear to all, as they fought bravely and proved their loyalty to the village. The battle raged on, testing the unity and strength of the villagers. The scent of burning foliage filled the air, a harsh reminder of the destruction wrought by the conflict. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a palpable sense of unity and determination. The villagers fought not just for survival, but for their home and future. Leora felt a moment of doubt, a fleeting fear that she might not be able to protect everyone. But she pushed through, the artifact's power and the support of her friends bolstering her resolve. She unleashed a final surge of energy from the artifact, its light blazing brightly and driving back the enemy forces. The hidden threat was finally neutralized, its power broken by the combined efforts of the villagers and their allies. The battlefield fell silent, the only sounds now the quiet murmurs of relief and the soft hum of the artifact's residual energy. As the dust settled, the villagers began to celebrate their hard-won victory. There was a sense of relief and triumph, a moment of peace and reflection. The taste of victory was sweet, a reminder of their resilience and strength. Leora and Jackson stood at the heart of the village, watching the celebrations with a sense of pride and gratitude. "We've come so far, and we will go even further." "This is just the beginning," Leora said, her voice filled with hope for the future. Jackson nodded, his gaze softening as he looked at the villagers around them. "Together, we can face whatever comes our way," he said, his words echoing the sentiments of everyone present. The village had emerged stronger, united by their shared struggles and triumphs. As they reflected on their journey, they knew that their bond and unity would guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead. The future was uncertain, but with Leora's leadership and the support of their newfound allies, they were ready to face it together.